So, this is it. You are scored on my heart, Clark. You were from the first day you walked in, with your sweet smile and your ridiculous clothes, and your bad jokes, and your complete inability to ever hide a single thing you felt.
Me Before You is a book written by Jojo Moyes, who was born in 1979 in London. She graduated at Royal Holloway and Bedford New College. She worked as a journalist in Hong Kong for the Sunday Morning Post and for 10 years for The Independent before becoming a full-time novelist in 2002. In 2013, with the novel Me Before You, she achieved full notoriety that fostered her to write more than 7 novels, such as Family Photos, Honeymoon in Paris, The 1+1, all international bestsellers that won several literary awards. Today, she lives in Essex with her husband, journalist Charles Arthur, and their 3 children. The book Me Before You talks about a young 26-year-old eccentric girl, Louisa Clark, that loves to work as a waitress in an ordinary cafe of the tiny village where she was born and from which she has never moved. After losing her job, Louisa finds new jobs that don't suit her. Therefore, she decides to become the assistant of the 35-year-old Will Trainer, a man who knows perfectly that a car accident that keeps him stuck on a wheelchair took away his desire to live. A man who knows how to put a stop to all this pain. What Will doesn't know is that the bizarre Lou, with her extreme sweetness and charm, is about to burst violently into his life, totally overturning it. However, neither of them knows that they are going to change each other's lives, questioning everything they thought. Though for the most part mirroring the novel in many aspects, the movie Me Before You, which came out after the book, omits some details that, in my opinion, are significant to understand the story. The book's adaptation does not entirely outline personalities and vicissitudes of the characters. Lou's sister is represented as a person always willing to help. On the contrary, her true selfish side emerges in the book, both when she wants to resume her studies, even though her family can afford it, and in the accommodation of rooms in their house. In the movie, as in the book, Lou has a boyfriend, Patrick, who is here described as an egocentric boy who only thinks about his work as a personal trainer. In really though, he truly cares about his girlfriend as shown in many instances, such as when he offers her to live with him due to family problems that are often completely omitted in the movie. In the movie, it is also not mentioned that Steven Trainer has an extramarital relationship that leads him to distance himself from her wife and Will. The book instead underlines many times the parents' feelings caused by this situation. In the book's adaptation, a very important character, Will's sister Georgina, is missing, even though she has an important role in the book. Heartbroken after the accident and in part jealous for getting no more attention, she has not a good relationship with Lou. The novel reveals a reason for which Lou can't put herself on the line, a trauma that influenced her entire life, which is not shown in the movie. In addition, the movie mainly focuses on Will's physical pain rather than mental, which oppresses him. Browsing through the pages of the book, we understand more and more how Will is distressed due to the life he can no longer have, and not so much due to his physical pain. For this reason, Lou can't immediately gain confidence and convince him to go out. Indeed, she turns to a quadriplegic group that not only suggests her how to behave and some appropriate places for Will, but also to change her opinion on the whole situation. The movie, by deciding not to show such important aspects, turns out to be disappointing. Reading gradually, we can notice an affinity between Camilla Trainor and Lou that leads to a mutual understanding. In fact, it is Camilla that calls Lou to convince her to visit Will on his most important day, and not the opposite as shown in the movie. At the end of the novel, a case arises to establish whether Will's action was legal and the family was involved too. While in the movie this part is absent, omitting how much influence such action can be nowadays. Considering that I watched the movie first and then read the book, I'm aware I should have done the opposite. When I watched the movie for the first time, just out of curiosity, I was struck by the scenes, the dialogues, and the unexpected ending. But when I read the book, line after line, I completely fell in love with it. Looking at the cover of the book, you might think that you are about to read the typical romantic story between two lovers, but the more you read, the more you discover that there is much more to it. Indeed, the story addresses many things that we don't want to talk about because they are either too much agonizing or complicated. Things that instead the Moise analyzes in her book with amazing tact and frankness at the same time. Starting with the concept of disability, she underlines how there are so many ways in life to deal with it and be happy, and many others that take away an ambition and will to live. She stresses the fact that, such as in other aspects of life, only who is in such situation can really understand what it feels like. Will tries in every way to explain to people that he does not feel the same person as before and is willing to put a stop to this, but unfortunately, either for love or recklessness, they can understand his feelings at the beginning. For them, seeing the situation from the outside, it is easy to say you can do it or everything will be okay, but for him, this is not enough.
I get that this could be a good life, but it's not my life. It's not even close. You never saw me before. I loved my life. I really loved it. I can't be the kind of man who just accepts this.
However, this situation leads to an extraordinary passionate love, a love that can push us into situations that we would never have believed to experience, as well as decisions that question everything we believe in. This is the case of Trainor's family and Lou. Nobody wants to accept Will's decision, but eventually love pushes them beyond their convictions as they are able to partially put themselves in issues and imagine to live in that way. The Mouse describes in detail how Willie suppresses not so much for physical pain, but for how people look at him and judge him. She reflects on how much nowadays we care about others' opinions and how we react to their judgments or even worse, prejudices, no matter how we try to hide it. Feeling constantly judged can lead to insecurity and a lack of self-confidence that we cannot control. The judgment theme is reflected by the key concept of the book, the euthanasia. Euthanasia is approved by few and disapproved by many, but beyond personal convictions, anyone has to take his own decisions. In the book, as in the movie, Will often reiterates that it is his decision and no one else's. His will to end his life is no less strong than his will to have his own one back. Although it hurts, it is a decision he took with awareness and that he can't be denied. Despite this, he is not understood, especially by Lou's mother that, after knowing the circumstances, even blames Miss Trainer for being a bad mother and professional judge. The legal case that arises after the suicide demonstrates how complicated it is to discuss this topic. The act itself is often not considered as a voluntary decision of the individual, but rather as an instigation to committing suicide. Therefore, in real life, new procedures and judgments are used, leading to a greater disapproval of assisted suicide. What makes the book wonderful is that, despite the novel being filled with drama, the Moise is able to downplay with unconditional love, and to a degree with a positive view of life until the very end of the book. Despite Will's decision, it is Lou the one who has new opportunities. By living with him and witnessing his pain, she realizes to have a great potential and she is able to see her future through a completely different perspective. I love this story for this reason, because it fully reflects real life. Not everything can go according to plans. We can't control everything, try to know what other people feel and stick firm on our convictions. Things change. It's inevitable, but even in the most dramatic moments we learn something, looking past and present in a totally different way than we expected.